Susan Page is Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today. She's with us now from Washington. So, Susan, White House advisor Stephen Miller told John Dickerson the president projected strength after that missile test by North Korea. But Mr. Trump only spoke for a few seconds. He didn't mention North Korea by name. What did you make of that?
Well, he let the Japanese prime minister speak first. Then he said only 33 words, and those words did not include North Korea. He didn't do a couple things that we would expect a president to customarily do in a setting like that, condemning the test by North Korea, and also making it clear that we stand by our allies in South Korea, who of course feel the most threatened of all by North Korea's provocative actions. So in this way, we don't know whether it was just a case where it was late at night, this is a new kind of thing for President Trump to do since he's newly in office, or whether this indicates something about the U.S. role, a more limited U.S. role in standing up to North Korea. One thing to remember, this is a completely predictable thing to have happened. North Korea often at times of transition in American politics does something provocative to see what kind of reaction they're going to get. And that's what we saw last night. One reason it was important to watch what President Trump did.
Yeah, we'll continue to watch if there's additional White House response. Meantime, the president pledged a court battle over this immigration ban, but it seems like he's exploring other pathways now. What happened, do you think, Susan?
Well, I think they put out this executive order, and they didn't craft it with the kind of language that could avoid some of the judicial challenges they got. Some of the analysts believe that they could devise a ban that is more limited and specific in its scope, that could pass court tests. And there's a thought that that is a smarter way to go than appealing this particular court decision from the Ninth Circuit to a Supreme Court. There are some signs that if it went to the Supreme Court, they would divide 4-4. That's what they did on the last big immigration case that came to that. And that would mean that the Ninth Circuit court decision would stand. So some thought that maybe the smarter thing to do is to try again with a new executive order.
Well, in a separate interview, Susan, Stephen Miller asserted that there was widespread voter fraud in New Hampshire without citing any evidence. And I wonder, do you think this is becoming a policy position of the White House? What are the implications of that?
Well, this is something that President Trump continues to assert, but the administration can provide, as so far has provided, no evidence that there is widespread voter fraud. There was one case in Texas that got a lot of attention the other day, but in terms of the kind of voter fraud that he's talked about, 3 to 5 million people voting illegally, there is simply no evidence. The studies have been done by academics and by law enforcement agencies do not support this, and so we're left with a president and here one of his top aides asserting it in the absence of actual evidence.
Well, the president has encountered a number of institutional constraints in his first 3 weeks in office. What do you think he's learned so far from this battle with the judiciary and the challenges in getting his nominees confirmed?
You know, I think he's finding that being a business executive is different from being the president of the United States. You know, when you're a business executive, you can hire somebody for a job and they'll start this job. When you're a president of the United States, you've got to go through Senate confirmation for top aides. You also face constraints and challenges by the courts. You have a federal bureaucracy and foreign capitals that have power to constrain your actions. So I think we're seeing this president, who had had no experience in governmental affairs before he took office, maybe learning a little about how complicated the calculations can be when you're in that Oval Office.
All right, Susan Page, always appreciate your insight. Thanks.
Thank you.